Well, a very good afternoon. Welcome back to Oslo, day 2 of the final biathlon round of the year. And the men's turn to go through their paces on the sprint course, 10 kilometres, and it is soft. And as a result of that, they've made the same decision as yesterday, and they're putting all the seeds in the first group. So all the big names will have started by the time number 27 takes to his skis. It's going to be a long race after that. Here is the programme for the weekend. The men's sprint coming up. It's about head-to-heads tomorrow, the pursuit. And, of course, Hannah Öberg will be starting the women's after a brilliant win yesterday. What a performance by the Swedish team. And whoever wins today's sprint will be starting first for the men's in the afternoon at 3 o'clock. I think that was probably Sweden's best ever performance, wasn't it, Mike?
It was quite incredible. What was it? The best 5 were in the top 8 on the finish. Yes, absolutely best ever. And hopefully the men can simulate that today.
Yeah, actually, to be fair to them, I think they beat their total score once this season. But to do it under that sort of pressure, to get first and third, the individual in Kontiolahti, where they got first, second, and I think it was fourth, they scored more points. But such a pressure situation, 5 points behind France going into the last race, and they came through. I just find it a little ironic, Mike, that a man lost France the Nations Cup, the Women's Nations Cup.
Well, they did. That's the power of the mixed relay.
Now, let's see what happens in the men's. Perot is 244 points ahead. If he ends up 180 points ahead today, then he will take the title. It's almost dead cert. So if he gets 63 points more than, or he gets less than 63 points less than Samuelsson, then he will be the champion at the end of the day. I think we can probably focus on the sprint trophy a little more than the overall, which for me is nailed on. So both the overall globes, Mike, heading to France. Another very successful season for them. Norway are safe in terms of the Men's Nations Cup, so that isn't really going to be decided. What was the gap? It was 430 points. And the most you can score in this event is 462. So theoretically, France could win that. But that would involve none of the Norwegians finishing in the points, and that's not going to happen.
Yes, and also today, racing Gaëtan Paturel, bib number 73, the first Frenchman to win the overall IBU Cup competition. That's quite a historic moment, and he just clinched it there at the very end in Lake Placid.
What a season it's been for Eric Perot. 4 wins, 8 times on the podium, 16 times in the top 10 out of 18 races. That's how consistent he has been. Now we're going to hear from Lois. Here he is.
We are in Oslo on the shooting range with Armin, the coach of US Biathlon. It's your last time in Oslo with this Closes USA. How do you feel?
Yeah, it's my last time, and it's been a long and really, really good time. I learned a lot. I gave a lot. It's been in total 13 years with two breaks, 5 years, then 4 years in Switzerland, and then 8 years in a row with the US team. And I'm very proud what I have been through with the team, and it's an emotional goodbye. But I will leave a lot of friends. I will leave a good team who improved a lot, I think, and I wish them all the best and best of success, and I hope they can improve even more, because I know there's a lot of potential, and I wish everybody I met on this path all the best.
If you say one thing that you let to the team, one thing that you keep from the team.
I leave friendship and I keep friendship. This is what I feel, and this is It wasn't a journey where you just worked. It was a journey where you actually could work in an environment where you felt really, really happy, and it was nice to be on the road, especially with the staff. The staff was amazing, and the days we had and on the road were just something very, very special. I will always keep it in my heart.
You told me that you had no plans for after, but will you stay in Biathlon?
I will most likely stay in Biathlon. I have a couple meetings coming up, and we will see where my heart brings me next. And I'm looking forward to this decision. I will see. I can tell right now what it's going to be, but I'm hopeful it's going to be a good decision.
So, Mike, where's he going? Which team is going to snap him up?
I'm wondering, is he going to go to the Austrian team? Although they generally, historically, they haven't reached out to foreign support. So, but he's very international, as Armin, and he's done a great job, I think, with the Americans.
Yeah, and certainly that has been helped by the arrival of Campbell Wright. I wonder how instrumental Armin was in that decision.
Yeah, I would imagine he played a huge part. And you know, he is ending on a real high with the third position last weekend in Otepää in the mixed relay. That was something new, something special for the American team.
Yeah, and it would be extra special if they could do something today. Samuelsson on the range, just late adjustment.
He always plays around with that rear iris. He puts it all the way open, all the way closed.
Well, here's a quick look at what else is coming up. Plenty of cycling. Cross-country skiing has gone across the pond. Lake Placid hosting the last round there. The Distance World Cup still up for grabs. Klæbo at the moment 3 points behind, having missed out in Oslo last week due to that head injury. Bath Saracens tonight at 7 p.m. That's certainly worth the watch. And if you're a snooker fan, Ronnie O'Sullivan versus Wu. There's the man at the moment, Mike, and Laegreid's on a roll.
He really is. This is his best form. He started this successful phase at the Olympics, didn't he, with his bronze, then silver, silver, silver. What a run.
I wonder if he can keep it going. Well, it all started in December, and a couple of OK races in Östersund. Top 10 results from Laegreid, but then Hochfilzen, Le Grand Bernard, well below his normal standard, outside the top 10, losing ground to the leaders in the World Cup. And pretty much by the time we're in Ruhpolding, we knew he would not be defending his overall World Cup title. Perrault at that stage was way too far ahead. But come the Olympic Games, he found his form. Look at that run. Third, second. He entered 5 races. He got 5 medals. A historic moment for Laegreid. And then kept his form going all the way through Kontiolahti. 2 races up there. And he found his winning form yet again.
He
says the results in the Olympic Games were fantastic, and certainly no flash in the pan for him. So in the last 8 individual races, he's been on the podium every single time. His hit rate, 96.4. That perhaps the most staggering of the statistics.
Today to fight for every shot, and there was some gusts of wind that disturbed my shooting, but I stayed calm. I just used the time I needed and to hit the targets, and then especially very happy with the fighting in the second prone and also the first standing when it was quite difficult. So that gave me the gap I needed into the last standing, and I knew that I could afford 2 mistakes, so less pressure, and I'm only had 1, so then it was an easy victory.
No victory is easy in this game. He just made it look easy. And Laegreid on 3 wins in a row is certainly the man to beat here in Oslo. And that 96.4% hit rate, Mike, for those last 8 races is absolutely ludicrous. If you can cast your mind back to how windy it was in Otepää last week, it's astonishing what he achieved.
I think it's quite exceptional. He was a little fortunate with lane 1 every time in that race in Otepää. The most shaded, if you like, but it was still incredibly difficult. The wind was hitting him and his rifle, but the bullet was slightly more protected.
Yeah. Well, if he can hit 96.4% this weekend, he should be in the money for some more podium finishes. But in the sprint event, generally, you have to hit 10 out of 10. So he can't afford a single mistake. Well, this is the aerial view, the drone shot view, as we're getting used to, of the Holmenkollen Stadium, with the centre of the city of Oslo in the background, floating saunas. It is the most fantastic place at this time of year. Certainly well worth the visit. And although there's a slight lack of snow in the stadium, Mike, they've been saving for the last couple of weeks. Of course, we had the cross-country World Cup last weekend, the final of the Biathlon World Cup this weekend. The Norwegians would not get into a situation where they ran out of snow.
No, they wouldn't, and it's a historic venue, and generally we come here as the last race, not all the time, but most seasons Oslo stages this important final World Cup.
8 degrees warmer than the course officials would have liked, but it's been quite chilly overnight, so we are okay. But it does mean that all the big names go early. Campbell Wright, early start for him. Laegreid starting number 9. Who else have we got there? Lucas Hoffer, who's been on a bit of a roll, starting 15. And is he one of those retiring this year, Mike?
Do you know, he's kept it very quiet.
Yeah.
I'm hoping he'll stay, because his performance this season been the best for, what, 6-7 years?
Will finish on a high, many people say. Perot, the World Cup leader, starting number 25. Is this the day he finally gets his hands on that bit of crystal glass? Jack Jeffries of Great Britain, good early start for him. And then Rastoguyev and Simon Ada. This will be his last weekend. Now, Ada, Mike, outside the top 20 in the World Cup standings. So, if he doesn't do well today, this could be his last ever World Cup.
I had a sad thought about that, because last weekend he was 65th, missing 2 targets, out of character in Otepää. It was a difficult day. I think he'll make the top 60 today. And as you say, if he doesn't, that's his career potentially finished.
Yeah, well, let's hope he does. But he'll get a good reception, whatever. Oli Sturla of Norway, racing number 72, his first ever World Cup, big occasion for him. Paturel, the winner of the IBU Cup, starting number 73. And all those newcomers without a picture to present to the IBU. Nikola Romanin, he's been around, he should have presented a photo by now.
Yeah, I'm surprised they're missing something there. It was those faces that we see are all the ones that were in the first 2 World Cup events of the season. And
quite a big field. Danuser at number 96. And then Phoenix Spark. What a great name for a biathlete. Number 103. And then Marcus Boland-Webb, the second of the British athletes, going off 109. And Bouvet of Belgium is the last man away. 21st birthday for the penultimate starter. Hopefully he can hit something.
It's party time, isn't it? Just mentioning also, Patrick, 109, Marcus Boland-Webb. It's his last ever World Cup for the British team. And yeah, so he's had 14 starts in terms of his World Cup career.
Well, you can see how soft the snow is. We can discuss, Mike, the change in the start order. We mentioned yesterday how frustrating it is when you've done a couple of hours work on the start sheet and made your notes on everyone, and then they say, no, we're changing it. And basically, you've got to start all over again. if you've got the energy.
Yeah, heavy going. And, you know, it is a big advantage for all those top-ranked biathletes now that we're going to start mid to later in the field. Now they're at the very start of the field.
We are into the last weekend of the biathlon season. 3 races to go for the men. The sprint today, pursuit tomorrow, mass start on Sunday. It's a cruel programme. And then the party on Sunday night if they're still standing. Philipp Norath is Germany as the first man away, 33-year-old, the best of the Germans on the World Cup Tour this year. He's down in 10th position. Germany, Mike, winning the Nations Cup. When was the last time? 2017. The last time before that was 2006, the year of the Torino Games, and then 2002 before that. And they're so far off winning it this year that they must be concerned.
They must be, and you know, I think it's a complete rebuild for the German team, looking forward to 4 years' time when they think the team will be great again. Kretschmarsch would like to find his greatest form, which was, what, back in 2018, and especially the Olympic sprint, silver medal.
Kontiolahti starting number 3, best of the tracks. Then again, the French all went off in the first 6 yesterday in the women's sprint, and it didn't help because they missed target number 10. It was if the scriptwriter had got into their heads, Mike. Missing target number 10, Jean Monod, Julia Simon, 2 that you would have nailed on to finish the job well, but it didn't go their way.
Yeah, that was quite incredible yesterday. Both the French team and the Swedish team knew the importance of the event for the overall, yes, Nations Cup, and the Swedish athletes absolutely lifted their game.
Vitaly Manzin, who started the season really well, was leading the under-23, I think I'm right in saying, at the end of Östersund, but has been overtaken convincingly by Fry. But he's a really good young Ukrainian biathlete, and you have to give them credit for being able to train and turn up to the World Cup events. Campbell Wright of USA. Ockenthaler will be watching on, hoping that maybe today is the day that Campbell can get himself onto the top step of the podium.
He looked great last weekend, didn't he? From 21st in the sprint, missing only 1, and then all the way up to 4th. So I think this is Campbell back to his more confident in terms of his shooting skills, more confident biathlete self.
Yeah, but if you look at his results, Mike, he just isn't consistent as the Perrots and the Samuelssons and the Laegreids, who he can beat, but not on a regular occasion.
Yes, and hopefully he can dig into that power that he certainly showed as a junior, that he showed at the World Championships last year, Campbell Wright. And Victor Brandt, he must feel good with being part of that winning mixed relay team in Otepää last weekend.
Yeah, they look pretty solid on that occasion. 13 is Fabien Claude, one of 3 brothers, as I'm sure you know. Emilien Jacquelin still feeling guilty. How does he make up for the fact that he got his team disqualified in Otepää? A win today, would that be enough?
Do you know, honestly, I thought about that last night, and that's also what I thought. To put that wrong right, he does need to win today, doesn't he? It's simple as that.
Well, he didn't do bad last week. 2nd in the sprint, 2nd in the pursuit. He's only got to go up 1 level. Justus Strello, brilliant shot. Just lacking a little bit of speed. He's sort of down as an average speed skier, Mike, and if you want to win a sprint, you have got to be 3% or 3.5% quicker than average.
And you know, when a biathlete like Strello has such good shooting skills, you would think that, I think if I were the head coach, I would really be looking at a method, a way to bring this speed up. He only needs to find 45 seconds in a 25-minute race. It's not easy, but I'm quite sure it's doable.
Now, Laegreid, not one of the tallest or heaviest men, which he'll be glad of because of the soft snow. I was just trying to think of an athlete from the past, Mike, who would love these conditions, and I suspect you'll come up with the same one as me.
the great Johannes Tingis and Bjorn Dahlen, actually.
Yeah, Bjorn Dahlen was even better, wasn't he, on the soft
Yeah.
conditions. He was lighter than Johannes, and he just moved so smoothly over the snow.
It is interesting, you know, two great biathletes, and Bjorn Dahlen was graceful like a ballet dancer over the surface of the snow, but Johannes Tingis was smooth but brutally powerful. You know, that final kick that he gave, so much force, so much power.
Yeah, power coming from the quads with Johannes, whereas it was more from the adductors or the abductors with Bjorn Dahlen. Just the speed that he could switch from one ski to the other. Johannes Dali-Shevdal, now he's quick, but he's a bit of a stocky athlete, Mike. I suspect he's going to be a centimetre or so lower than everyone. And every time you compress the snow, it robs the strength out of the legs. So I'm not sure that Dali-Shevdal is going to feature in the top three. Be nice to see, but I think he's got a tough task.
I mean, I always say that the intent that an athlete breaks free from that start wand, and Dali-Shevdal looked like the absolute raging bull there, charging out of the start gate, but he does need to hit at least 9 targets.
Well, let's see what he's like, what his split is at the top of the climb. This is the 1.7 mark, just over 4:45 for Philip Norath. And Filmaye, yeah, he's another athlete that should do pretty well in these conditions, Mike.
I think he will. He's consistently good here. He's always a top 7 finisher, and historically in the sprint here.
Well, Fabien Claude has got his supporters. Yeah, that initial 50-60 metres is holding out all right, but then it softens up dramatically. So Perot is on his way, surely, to the overall Crystal Globe. Top 15, and he's home and dry.
Campbell Wright looks very efficient here. It's coming up to 900 metres, and it's a very tough, actually, 900 metres. And I think he's pacing it well.
Yeah, I just think he's one of those that uses a lot of compression of the ski to generate his power. I'm wondering how his energy reserves are going to last. It is one of those days, isn't it, Mike? If there's a bit of shade, get in it. Find that slightly harder snow as we watch Lucas Hoffer blast his way out of the start gate. So that's a fairly energetic start from him.
He's had a great end to the season, well, in fact, all season long, and this is his 485th World Cup start, an absolute veteran.
Yeah, maybe he'll keep going until he gets to 500. He's got more Olympic starts than anyone.
I was thinking Simon Eder, who starts 48, he's on 560 starts today, only 20 starts behind the great Ole-Einar Bjorn Dahlen. Maybe he will do next year.
Now, is the light going green for Jacquelin? It certainly does. 6 seconds. That's a pretty handy start from him. But remember, Jacquelin is always quick on the first lap. He's always good on the second lap, and he can fade dramatically on the final loop. Norath already down, 3.3 kilometres completed, and he's the first to test out, I was going to say, the wind conditions. There's hardly any. Shouldn't be a problem, but it's forecast to range from 1 kilometre an hour to 5.
That's a long time nowadays into the first shot at 17.2 seconds, but he's wanting all 5 down.
Yeah, he's looking at a time of around, what, 32, 33?
Well, they were so central. Each shot was almost what you would class as a bullseye, or certainly in the 10 ring.
Yeah, solid shoot. The only athlete to have won a sprint and missed was Tommaso Giacomel on a course where everyone just about misses. Oberhof, 25:01, the winning time on that occasion.
Kretschmar, he needed all 5 there. He needed all 5 in the stand for a potential top 8 position for me, so that set him back badly. Filmaye holds so steady, you know, he holds longer in that state of ready to fire, for me, more than most others in this field.
So again, over that 30-second mark, I don't see how you think you can win, Mike, if you're going to take that long, because we can guarantee that there will be athletes shooting 10 seconds quicker than that.
Well,
this might be one of them.
He is one of them. Look at his pace today. You're so brutal, so fast. Maybe he does want to put behind him what happened last weekend using a 4th spare round.
I wonder how Perot is feeling.
A slight disadvantage for Perot, starting 12.5 minutes behind Norath, the first starter.
Well, I think you have to take it. He's just got to be grateful that the officials put the seeds early on. Campbell Wright is going to make it 5, should do. We had, 26 athletes going clear yesterday, which was the best shooting we've seen from the women all season. And the men certainly capable of matching that. They have matched that. Ruuppolding was a high shooting score. And then we saw some pretty good shooting in Kontiolahti as well.
Jacqueline is 13 seconds ahead of Campbell Wright coming in. He's just coming into the range now, Jacqueline.
Laegreid up into second behind Jacqueline now. What are we looking at? 12-13 for the first shot?
Yeah.
Maybe quicker? No, 14.9. Now he's on a roll. Sub 2 seconds. Well, that's the quickest we've seen so far. 24 seconds. He's 8.5 seconds quicker than we saw from Phil Maillet. Samuelsson. Now, Mike, Samuelsson well positioned in the overall standings, but it's the sprint standings that he'll be after today, because he's not going to catch Perot. But in the sprint standings, he has a lead of 45 points over Eric Perot. So if he can pick up 45 points, that means he is home and dry. And to achieve that, what does he need? It's going to have to be a top 6. Top 6 will give Samuelsson a bit of glassware. Laegreid, 3 wins on the trot. Can he make it 4 today? Ski speed. Oof.
I didn't see, I was looking up his time into the range there. I didn't see what happened there, but I know he'd adjusted his blind on the left side prior to the first shot. Expensive.
Yeah, very expensive. And Laegreid was 2 seconds slower than Jacqueline coming in. So I think we can safely say, Mike, that's 4 wins in a row gone.
Feels that way. You know, it's sort of character for Laegreid to miss 1 out of 5 prone.
Isaac Frey on the verge of winning the under-23 rankings for the season. 438 points he's picked up. Manzat is on 185, and only 270 points still up for grabs. So a half-decent result today. Sorry, Mike, half-decent result from Frey, and the title is his.
I'm very surprised at Dali Shevdal's ski time, 17.5 in to shoot. That's almost a penalty loop.
Off the boil a little bit, Dali Shevdal. 7th place in the standings, but he has missed, 5 races this year, so still to be in the top 7 is pretty impressive.
And of course, that mass start gold medal at the Olympic Games for Dali Shevdal. What an amazing moment in his life and his career.
Yeah. Top 3 athletes have all gone clear. Now, there are many more misses than certainly I was expecting. Jacqueline, Campbell Wright, Norath have all hit 5 out of 5. What about Fabian Claude? I'm pretty sure he's got his family here who won't have enjoyed that one.
It's such a pity, Fabian Claude, that was way off. There's no real structure there when you're missing high right, then low left.
They weren't just close misses, they were miles off. And yeah, Ormont, not impressed, not impressed. His last weekend with the French team, what a job he has done.
Oh, and you know, his job has reached so deep. He's been developing juniors initially, 25 years ago with the French team, and slowly working his way up to the World Cup team.
Yeah, green light for Kontiolahti. He's on a mission, having seen his partner win yesterday, Hannah Erberg. Wow, he is skiing with intent, Mike. That's a pretty hard pace. 3 laps like that. And maybe it's going to be his day. Luki Hoffer, his shooting has been so much better this season.
Holding a long time, too long.
A very expensive mistake.
You can just feel his frustration there. You know, he held that for... It's the moment from holding your breath until you squeeze the trigger. That, for me, was real extension on his missed shot. Running out of air.
Martin Uldal dropped out of the top 10 of the World Cup standings recently. Hasn't been on too bad a form since the Olympic Games. 3 out of 4 in the top 10.
I think we can almost say with certainty, Patrick, that the last time last year actually in this race, Norway finished in the top 5. All Norwegians taking the top 5. I don't think that's going to happen again today.
Not with these conditions, and Dali Shevdal, on what we've seen so far, is not going to be one of them. But we did suggest he was just a little bit too heavy for these conditions. Oof.
Lucky.
I wonder if he sensed the change in the sound, which forced him to take those 4.8 seconds. Ziggy Mazet, another man who's on the move at the end of this season. He's heading back to the French team, apparently. Haven't seen the signature yet. But that's what we hear. Philip Norath, clear on the prone, shooting top right-hand corner of your screen. Yeah, Norath deserves a podium finish, Mike.
Oh, he's found form, hasn't he, since the Olympic Games, and what I think is best at the Olympics, 5th position, yes, in the individual.
Yeah,
brilliant.
Yeah, 3rd place in the sprint in Otepää. He could be achieving that again. Christiansen with a first miss. Laegreid did exactly the same. The Norwegians are not firing. I was going to say on all cylinders, but they're not firing on the targets today. That's a real surprise.
I'm amazed with Christiansen. He knows this range so well, and he's missed 2 out of 5.
Now, you know this range pretty well, Mike. What does Kontiolahti have to watch out for?
Well, it's a strange, you feel deceptively recovered because of that 300 metres almost glide, so your breathing is under control more so than normal, but you still have to take great care in this range.
Fiormaillet has ruined his chances of finishing top 5 here today. Kontiolahti still going well. His speed in was the quickest we've seen so far. 4 seconds ahead of Jacquelin. He's right at the end of the range. So I think the light is going green for Kontiolahti again. He wasn't quite as quick as Jacquelin, who shot in 24. No, it's going to be a red light, but only 0.8 of a second. And what a battle we have. Right in 3rd. Norath down in 4. Norath already through the standing chute with a clear chute. Here comes Campbell Wright. Shooting of late has been a little bit down on what we would have expected. Can he focus? Would be a great time of the season to get a podium. It's not going to happen.
I'm so surprised. He's such a skilled and mentally strong athlete. I can't figure out what's going wrong. Maybe it was the attacking wasn't quite there. The attacking stance wasn't there.
Now, this is big for Samuelsson. The red bib there indicating that he's the leader of the sprint standings. He's not that far ahead of Jacquemelle, but Jacquemelle not racing, as I'm sure you know by now, after his heart problems at the Olympic Games. Perrault is 45 behind. He's halfway there. One big hurdle still to go. Jacquelin goes 4 out of 5. Now, Jacquelin's skiing pretty well, so that is going to be close. I think it's fair to say that he's still in contention.
His shooting time was fast, but not as fast as ever. It's 23.1 seconds for Jacquelin standing.
Perrault in 7.6 slower than Ponsaloma. He's 3 down on Jacquelin. He's 1 second down on Laegreid. What sort of speed are you expecting with the shoot, Mike?
I think he'll be 14.15 to the first release. 15.3.
And a total time of around 28, 29.
That was fast in between.
Oh, that was fast. Really
Yep.
good. 24.8. So the second man to go sub 25. And that is going to keep him within range of the race leader. So France are going 1 and 3 at the moment. Samuelsson of Sweden pushed down into 5. Ponsaloma of Sweden in 2. And again, for the second day in succession, it's Sweden versus France. Norway have pretty much shot themselves out of contention so far. This has to be a 5. Remember, 96.4% hit rate since the start of the Olympic Games. And today is a 90%. Drops his standards a little. So Fry, a half-decent race, Mike top 20, and the under-23 title is his, and he's certainly in a position to achieve that at the moment.
And Fry has gone out in behind Laegreid, who's on his last lap. It'll be an aggressive last lap.
So what is going on? Botten, Laegreid, Charlie Shevdal, all missing shot number 1.
Is it nerves? Is it... I cannot figure it out, because they know this range so well. They know this section here. This is the all-important section where you get some recovery. They know how to manage this entry.
Yeah, what we don't get to see on a time trial like this is the climb that actually affords you the glide down into the range area. And it's quite a steep climb. It doesn't look too much on the profile, but certainly it will put the pulse rate up somewhere near maximum. Now, Charlie Shevdal, has he picked the speed up at all, Mike? He was slow into the first shoot, 17th fastest, 21 seconds off the leaders, and he's now 103, but he has done a penalty loop.
I felt that Dali Shevdal's skis were slower there than Lindqvist, who gained a few meters and passed them coming into the range.
Oh, well, I'm not sure. Well, we saw the miss. I think was the camera on the wrong target? I think so.
I think it might have been. Well, Fabien Claude knows full well in his own mind for a decent result, and today, which gives him a decent start tomorrow, these 5 shots standing need to go down. And often he's better standing in stand shooting than he is in prone. Very fast to the first shot, but a lapse in concentration maybe for the second.
Simoneda, is this going to be his last ever World Cup? He is underway, and at 43 years old, he's certainly old enough to be the dad of quite a few of the athletes here. And I think in the Austrian team, that's how they treat him, isn't it?
It is.
It's looking good from Burkhalter so far. Spoke too soon. That's a long hold for shot number one. There's not going to be a lot of oxygen by the time he gets through to 4 and 5.
Oh, that's a real shame for Hofer.
No smiles in the Italian team yet. I think they'll be back up to their smiling best tomorrow, Mike, with Lisa Vitozzi in action in the women's pursuit. She'll be starting second. Now, what about Jacquelin on this last loop? Started number 7, so he's got some big names behind him, but he did start after Campbell Wright. Well, there he is. You can see Campbell Wright, who started a minute ahead.
As Uldal shoots, it feels like Jacquelin still has a real powerful final lap in him. He hasn't backed off his pace.
Well, the Norwegians, Mike, have dropped their level so drastically that they might not even contend tomorrow in the pursuits.
I can't think when we last... where's the fastest Norwegian after the second shoot? Well, Laegreid.
Yeah, Laegreid in second, 2.6 off Jacquelin. So that's a good ski race. We'll try and track that on the way round. Jacquelin has gone through 8.4. Laegreid yet to reach that point. Here comes Philipp Norath, who was 27 seconds down on Emilien Jacquelin. Now, where are you going to put your money, Laegreid or Jacquelin, Mike? Generally, Jacquelin is slower over the last lap.
Yes, that's what I would say, and I think Laegreid, having made that mistake, will pass Jacquelin effectively.
Bib number 1 for Philipp Norath, who is generally very quick indeed. He's got a clear shoot, and I wonder whether that is going to be good enough for the podium. It would be podium number 7 in his career if he achieves it. Ponsaloma, after a brilliant start and some good skiing, has shot himself out of contention for the top 3. Focuses well and should be able to get a reasonable start in the pursuit. Better stand from Christiansen.
He needed that. He really needed it. And with Christiansen, you know full well that when he's absolutely focused to put them down, he will get them.
16 of the best athletes through shot number 2, Mike. Only one has gone clear, and that, of course, is Philipp Norath.
It's fascinating. The day is not difficult in terms of the wind influence. It's pressure.
Yeah, and the seeds stop at number 27. So Norath, with a 25.57, is looking very, very good indeed. Johannes Tingesbo, the winner last year, 24.49. Don't think anyone's going to match that.
Samuelsson's strength, Patrick, throughout the season has been his bad days in the sprint are not bad at all. You know, his worst position, 9th, it's still good. Generally, he's from 4th to 6th, really.
Yeah, starting number 23, Red Bibbers, he's the leader of the sprint standings. If he gets 5, he is in business. The red will stay his forever and a day. If he gets 4, I think he's still going to do enough. 45 points clear at the start of today, and Samuelsson clears 5. Perot is, Perot, I think, and Laegreid, the only other 2 men who can catch him. Norath on 2.56. So he's a good 60 points, 59 points behind. Perot knows that top 15 is good enough to take the overall. And if he gets 5, he will be in the top 15, that is for sure. Look at this, best standing shoot of the day so far. Misses number 5, just to keep us on tenterhooks. But I think he has done enough. What about Emilien Jacquelin? Whoa, 32 seconds inside. That is some skiing, but I can tell you, Mike, that Laegreid has turned the tables on Jacquelin, going through 8.4, and Laegreid is 3 seconds clear of the Frenchman, going through the 9,200 metre, 9.2k, so 800 metres to go. Here he is into the finish. He's got far less than that, 35 seconds in hand.
Oh, I think he was up. He turned it around by, 5 seconds from when he left the range. So Laegreid should take this one.
Yeah, Perot has come out in second place, 2.2 seconds down on Jacquelin, so he might be taking the overall World Cup title in style. Laegreid doesn't know about Perot, but Perot does know about Laegreid out on the tracks, and he'll get the splits all the way around the last 3.3. 25-25 to beat, and Laegreid's going to do it, not by much, but he's there. 3.9. That is a good final loop as he came out of the range, some 4 seconds down.
Another great race, you know, albeit missing the very first shot, way out of character. He's punished himself on the track to try and pull something back. And you know what? It could actually be the winning time.
It might be. It might be. We've still only got one athlete who has gone clear. That's extraordinary. And he's already finished. And Norath is down in third place, which seems a little unjust. What about Isak Leknesfrei of Norway? This is a good run from him, Mike.
Very good. He was fourth last year. He would love to achieve that again today.
9 out of 10 for Botten. And, yeah, generally Norway making mistakes on the prone. It was Ole Einar Bjorndalen who started that craze. Whoa! Look how deep that snow was. Well, that was some very nifty footwork. His left foot disappeared in a groove about 1.5 foot deep. It would have been up to your knees, Mike.
Thank you. Can you imagine it as the race goes on in another 45 minutes? It's going to be really, really testing and difficult.
Is he going to make it 4 in a row? Interview time.
Short but sweet.
Yeah, I think he said I had great skis.
Felt that way.
Well, it's a good guess because that's what they all say. Duty bound. But the technicians deserve every little bit of praise they get. This is Christiansen wearing 19. Alongside him is Bianaz of Italy. There's Jack Jeffries going through, I think, number 34, yes. And Christiansen, how's he looking? Top 4. Well, you mentioned, Mike, that Norway had, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 last year. After a really bad start on the prone shooting, it looks as though it's not going to be too bad.
It's a lot better. I'm so impressed with Christiansen, missing 2. He's punished himself on the track massively.
Linkus Fluttens, who junior world champion, some way off the pace, having missed 2 on his first shoot. He will have been very frustrated by that. 28 coming out, Emilian Claude. Here comes Simoneda for his first shoot in the prone position. Ponsaloma. Oh, my goodness, Mike, he's going to kick himself because 2 misses and he's only 16 seconds off the leader, the fastest skier by a fair margin.
Lindqvist Flotten, only 19-year-old. And it was amazing at the Junior World Championships, he'd never shot better than 17 hits in the individual. He hit all 20 and took the title.
I don't think that needs translating.
Very frustrated.
It starts with the same letter as in English.
Yeah. He was hoping to make the top, easily hoping to make the top 60. I think he may struggle now.
Well, there you see the standings at the moment. Laegreid, who I thought was out of contention for his 4th successive win, may hold on, but Perot is still out on the tracks. We'll try and update you on Perot's position on his final lap. Now, Perot left the range at 6.65. 8.4 is the next split that I've got. And Laegreid is leading at that split, ahead of Jacquelin. Ponsaloma at 16 seconds. Here comes Perot. And how's it? Oh, my goodness, Mike. He's going well, but he's still got a little bit to do across the flats, and then he breaks to the left, and it's a steep little climb up to the wand. I think Laegreid might just have it, but it's only going to be a couple of seconds either way. It's a red light for Perot, 2.4 the margin, and when he came out of the range, he was 0.4, so Laegreid's been quicker up to this point.
It's amazing. You could argue it's definitely advantage Perrault being giving the time, the exact time of Laegreid at that point.
Yeah, and the fact that Kontiolahti is losing time to Laegreid, Mike, I think an indication that Laegreid has hit the pace pretty hard over the last K and a half. It is going to be very, very tight.
Well done, Christensen, missing 2, and he's really put a tough shift in on this last lap. Looks like he's dragging his teammate Dali Shevdal with him. Or is it Uldal?
I think it's Uldal.
Yes, it is.
Dali Shevdal starting number 11, so I hope he's finished already.
Yeah, let's hope so.
Yeah, that's definitely been a help for Martin Uldal, second place in this little duo, and Christensen into third. Norath is off the podium, and still, is he really the only man to have gone clear so far? I don't quite understand that.
Do you know, it's unbelievable. 34 athletes through the second shooting and only Norath with 0-0. It's not a windy day. The light is good. I cannot understand it.
Yeah, yesterday we saw the best shooting we've seen from the women in a sprint this season. Today we've seen the worst shooting that we've seen from the men. Here comes Kontiolahti, 19 seconds behind last time we saw him. Christensen into the finish at 27.6. So I think Kontiolahti could be moving into that third podium place, but don't forget Perrault is still out on the tracks, and Perrault actually, Mike, has gone through 9.2 and he's dropped down to 4.5 seconds, so that puts him behind Jacquelin.
Yes, and I think in fairness, the later starters in the elite group, and Perrault is what the last starter in the elite group, Botten was, it's not an advantage.
Yeah, now at 5 seconds for Perrault. It doesn't really matter. I think maybe Mikey's given up on the win and he's just going for the overall globe,
which he should secure.
Yeah, and you know what? Kontiolahti's just seen how little time he is behind the leaders, having missed 2. So he's the fastest out there, missing 2. Christensen has also put in a really good shift, as Mike says. Campbell Wright down in 7, 57 seconds behind. But here comes the 26 overall World Cup winner. Perrault has done enough. He looked as though he was going to seal it in Otepää last weekend, but he's had to wait till Oslo. Samuelsson is just about to claim the sprint trophy, Mike, because he is going in, what do you think? He's probably going to go top 5. Norath is the time he's trying to beat.
It is, and I think, at the end of the day, Samuelsson will be a top 7, top 8.
Yeah, Norath down to 6, Samuelsson in 5, 45 points ahead at the start of today, and Perrault needed to win this to be able to challenge for that sprint title. That is not now going to happen. There's still going to be a margin of 5 seconds or so, but the overall, the big globe, as they call it, is going the way of Eric Perrault. What a season it has been for him this year. That's his 9th podium finish if he stays there. 4 wins this year, 17 times he's finished in the top 10. And that is out of only 19 races, and there are 2 more to go. Running out of juice, I think, maybe. But if, as you say, Mike, had he started number 1, it could have been a different story.
I do believe that it changes very quickly, and he started 12 minutes behind Norath, bib number 1. And a slight disadvantage.
Yeah, I'm not sure Samuelsson's done the calculations yet, but he's finished in 6th, which gives him 45 points, which is all he needed to claim the title. And the fact that Perrault hasn't won means that he will stay the sprint leader. Here comes Fry, another trophy being decided today. Fry claims the under-23. We've still got 2 days of the season. What's left to play for?
It's been a very strange race. Is it fatigue at the end of this, mental fatigue at the end of the season with the amount of shots missed today on a good day?
Yeah, Norway not quite as impressive as last year, Mike, but I've got them in 1, 5, 6, 9, 4 in the top 10 at the moment. Sweden will be happy. Kontiolahti in 4, Samuelsson now in 7.
And, you know, looking at the result sheet now, Patrick, the later starters with the disadvantage of the conditions, even though some will shoot the perfect 10 out of 10, they'll be hard-pressed to make it into the top 10 as it stands.
Yeah, but, you know, Peroni lost 2 seconds to Laegreid on that last lap. I think that Laegreid would have taken 2 seconds out of Perot on any condition.
Yes, Laegreid is on his best form. Maybe Jakob Falk in his last season can change things. Often shoots 10 out of 10 in this race. Not today. Oh. We need to get another view on the flags. I thought they were still doing as they were during zero. I cannot explain one of the best shots in his career, Jakob Falk, and he's missed 4 out of 5.
Just wanted to do an extra K or so.
Oof. Tough. Well, if it's not the first shot today, it's the last shot. The flags are so gentle from the left, just affecting the fall of the bullet by 6 millimeters. That's all in a 45 millimeter prone target.
Heikkinen, who shot 10 out of 10 last weekend in Otepää. That's more like it. Yeah, that's a confident-looking shoot.
And he's only 21, but his skill set looked like he's almost a 30-year-old, a veteran that's done many, many World Cup seasons.
Now, let's just enjoy what could be Simoneda's last ever standing shoot. He did go clear on the prone, Mike, so he's not going to be that far behind. But are we going to see one of his classic sub-20-second shoots? Brilliant.
Beautiful.
Absolutely brilliant. Simoneda at his best, 19.4, and the fastest shoot of the afternoon. That is fantastic. We used to see that time and time again a decade ago. Hasn't quite been the hot shot of the season, but he did start the season pretty well. Ospanus with 2 misses, and Maze won't be happy with that. But Maze's going to have quite a few athletes to watch in the pursuit.
He certainly is. I was just thinking about Alfred Ader. One of his 3 wins came here.
Now, Leonard Funt, can he keep the race alive for a while? Certainly the next generation of German stars. As I mentioned, Germany not winning the Nations Cup since 2017. I was actually, when I saw that, Mike, I was surprised that they'd won it in 2017.
I was too, actually, but they weren't winning many races, but they were generally up in that top part of the range, top part of the result sheet, I should say.
Yeah, was that Benny Dole, Bernbacher?
Yep, and Lesser, so it was a good team, and Arndt Pfeiffer. And I think, as you say, Leonard Fund, he's the future.
Well, he joins a long list of big names that have hit 9 out of 10. 72 is Ole Sturla, who we couldn't quite explain how he managed to get a start. Generally, we see 1 or 2 of the stars from the Junior World Championships and the IBU Cup winner making an appearance at the last of the World Cups. Maybe it's his shooting, because he gets 5 out of 5. I'm not sure he's not the first Norwegian to hit 5 in the prone.
Well, And, you know, when it's your first World Cup race, you feel different, you want it to go well, and that often puts pressure on your results or on your shooting performance.
Oh, Lovro way out to the right, then out to the left, back to the right.
And there's no wind. Look at the flags. Very little wind to affect the fall of the shot.
Now, here is the IBU Cup champion for the year. I've got a slight issue with the IBU Cup, Mike, in that the man or woman who does the most races tends to end up on the top of the table. Surely it shouldn't be like that.
I'm with you. And, you know, Paturel did take part in all the races. Many of the other big names didn't. But, hey, if you want to win it, you've got to be there. You've got to be in it.
Yeah, but if you're not there, you're generally at the World Cup.
Yes, as was the case with so many, and including Dali Shevdal. He was at the IBU Cup for the first part. I agree. Maybe they should say you can miss one World Cup event or IBU Cup event.
Well, maybe you could say the best 10 count, half of them.
Yeah, put it to Congress. I think they would listen.
There's a first time for everything. Here we go. Number 57, and this is Martin Matko. He wasn't hanging around. Good shoot. Simonada still the best. Anton Vidmar for Slovenia. And 121. That he's going to end up just under 2 minutes down on the leading time. Is it really going to be Laegreid who wins again? That is astonishing, isn't it, Mike? 25-21, but it's very, very close. Jacquelin at 3.9, Perot at 4.6, and Vidmar at 1:44. That should be safe for a start in tomorrow's pursuit. Jacques Jeffries, incidentally, has come through the finish. He's at 3:57, so I think he'll miss out on tomorrow's action, and that means that is the end of his first season of World Cup action. Expecting him to rise up the rankings and raise the level next year.
Well, that's the way to do it.
He joins a fairly exclusive bunch, Franz Chaser.
He had two second positions in all the IBU Cup races. And I think that's a great World Cup start.
Yeah, comes out in 14th. If he can limit his losses on the last lap, if he can limit them to 15-20 seconds, then he is going to get a very, very healthy start in the pursuit. Could be starting in the top 20.
Well, what is still fascinating me, Patrick, that's nearly 60 athletes gone through the second shoot. Therefore, all 10 shots fired. And we've still only got 4 who've hit the perfect 10 out of 10.
Finello spending that extra couple of minutes. He's seen enough people missing the range today to know that it's worth a few seconds. 19 seconds, though. That's giving away 6 to many before he'd even fired his first shot. Can't complain when all 5 fall, though.
Good feeling. I've been thinking about why we've seen a lower standard on one of the easiest ranges. It was very sunny when they zeroed coming into the left eye, and then the sun dropped away. That might explain some aspect.
Sturla, congrats. What did you expect today? Did you expect for this red bib?
No, I did not expect that. I mean, I had 5 wins in a row, so I'm just really happy that I had such a good period. And today, I felt actually a bit heavy in the legs, so I thought I will just do my best. If I don't end on the podium, it's still happy to be here in Holmenkollen, my home place. But then to fight for the win and also to take the sprint club, it's incredible.
How can you explain this kind of season? The shape has been coming for Olympics, and now it's okay. You would like to do 1 month more, maybe?
No, I'm tired, so I'm looking forward to Easter holiday. But yeah. I think for me going into the season I was quite stressed, maybe because of last year I had big expectations and also the Olympics, so didn't really get to relax and find my shape. But during everything that happened in the Olympics I had to build myself up again from the bottom, and I in many ways not only biathlon, so then it shows I think that I'm more stable and more confident, and yeah, that biathlon is now just a sport, a hobby, not the entire life.
So, full confidence for the rest of the week?
Yeah, I mean, when you start like this, you have to have full confidence.
Thank you. Good luck.
Well, we missed a trick there. Samuelsson has now been pushed down into 7th place, Mike, which means he gets 41 points and goes on to 356 points in the sprint. And with Laegreid winning today, he goes on to 356. But he's won the last two. So by my calculation, he wins it by the fact that he's won 2 and Samuelsson has only won 1. That is cruel fate for Seb Samuelsson after Sweden's success yesterday.
That is so cruel in a sense, but well done to Laegreid. As he said, he had felt the pressure coming into the season, given that he won the overall World Cup last year, and he's only relaxed actually since the Olympic Games.
Yeah, oh, you have to feel for Samuelsson, though.
It was a good result from Samuelsson, only 35 seconds behind, and if he had skied 4 seconds faster, he would have won the overall the sprint, as most people expected.
Yeah, I wonder if the coaches were giving him the same splits as us, because everyone was watching Perot to see if he was going to win it, and it did not turn out that way. Well, the sad thing, Mike, Samuelsson has never won a Crystal Globe. He's been second on a couple of occasions. He was second in the sprint back in 22, second in the pursuit back in 22 as well, third in the pursuit last year. And he has just let the Crystal Globe slip through his fingers today.
You know, when he went to sleep last night and thinking about the race, as all biathletes do, he just doesn't have bad days, and even his bad day is a 7th or a 9th, as I said earlier. And I do feel for him. He would have thought that this Crystal Globe would have been his by the end of today.
Well, Simoneda into 43rd position. His career goes on, I think. I don't think there are going to be another 17 who push him outside the top 60. Is that good news or bad news for Simoneda?
I think that's good news. He can have another outing, take his World Cup starts to 5-6-1. Quite incredible how he keeps motivated and so sharp to achieve a shooting score today was quite phenomenal.
Yeah, this has been a good performance by Sturla so far. 50 seconds off the pace of the leaders. Oof. Looks very relaxed. Throwing those 2 shots high, but not a bad introduction to World Cup action for Sturla. I still can't quite believe that Samuelsson has lost it, Mike. Yeah, I'm not sure Laegreid was even thinking that he could win it today. He was so far behind.
And, he said he felt when your legs feel heavy, and he said, he still wanted a decent performance here, but he didn't think he could win. Quite amazing. And once he gets into a rhythm, and especially after missing his first shot Laegreid, I think he dug deep today, so deep, and it just shows the class act that he is. Paturel, he's had a very busy season. What is it, 28 races at the IBU Cup? Yes, he's the overall winner of the IBU Cup. That could put him off, but it didn't.
Lovely. Lovely way to finish, and the French team next year, it seems, is going to be even stronger. Yeah, that corner could do with a little bit of banking, couldn't it? They could do with raking out some of that soft snow. 113 outside. He's had a look. He knows he's top 30, and yeah, he could well feature in tomorrow's pursuit. Strong-looking athlete. '74, Florent Claude.
Just, you could argue, a little lapse in concentration. You've got to be so focused throughout the process. You're gasping for air, your heartbeat's still high. Although I did notice Paturel was down at 138 on his last shot, which is unusual. Normally a pulse is staying above 155. This could be Matko's best ever result if it remains, well, his best previously is 39th position. Pretty good for a late start or a midfield start, which is a lot slower when bib number 1 to 10 set off.
Yeah, just having a look at the results, Mike. Johan Olaf Botten is the man who cost Samuelsson the title. He started a couple of minutes after Samuelsson and has gone up into 6th place. Samuelsson, yeah, just double check on that. Botten has gone into 6th, yeah, pushing Samuelsson down to 7th. So when he crossed the line, he did have the title. By the time they interviewed Laegreid, he didn't.
Yeah, big surprise, and Laegreid bouncing or projecting himself from 4th up into 1st place. What an achievement on the very last sprint competition.
Damien Levey of France, late starter, coming in for his first shoot. One of the advantages of switching the start around, putting all the seeds first, is that we do tend to see more of those athletes sort of mid-range who we would normally miss.
And Levey, remember back in Shushan, when was that? Back in February, end of February, he won the sprint race at the European Championships. I think he'll be lucky today. Look at the time if he finishes in the top 25.
Yeah, penalty loop to pay. 1 minute separating the top 13. And then we go down to 2 minutes at 31. So he should make the top 30. Well, let's have a chat with the best of the French today, Emilien Jacquelin.
Emilien, une course comme tu les aimes à l'attaque, bon, qui passe presque parfaitement quand même. Ouais, c'était, je t'avoue, avec ces conditions-là, je me suis pas forcément trop échauffé.
Just asked if he went all out.
Sans chercher à réellement mettre en route. J'avais l'impression que le début du premier tour était un petit peu poussif. Et finalement, je pense que sur des capacités de puissance, ça allait assez vite.
And then the tracks,
parfois, quand je m'échauffe,
the tracks break up. He said he thought he pushed a bit too hard early on.
Un certain blocage de la respiration, j'ai du mal a vraiment ventilé, mais hormis ça, ouais, c'est une course pleine. Petite erreur sur le debout qui
yeah, he said he found the last lap very tough. And,
ça permet de jouer devant pour demain.
He made a mistake.
La forme physique est encore présente.
One mistake in the shooting which cost him a win.
J'arrive encore à être
and he says he feels in very good shape for tomorrow, and he's also pretty happy with his shooting.
T'as embêté un peu cette année quand même.
Ouais, quand il vient me féliciter à la fin de la course, je sais pas s'il se fout de moi ou si vraiment il me félicite. Mais c'est vrai que c'est la 4e fois, je crois, ou au moins la 3e fois en moins de 2 mois que je finis juste derrière lui à quelques secondes. Donc,
they're talking about the rivalry between himself and Laegreid, and he said when Laegreid congratulated him at the end, he didn't know whether the Norwegian was having a joke, but that's the 4th time that he has finished just behind Laegreid in the last few weeks. How's he going to beat him? Well, he's going to have to push hard. He has to play his own game. And he has to assume that Laegreid is not going to make any mistakes in the range. So he'll do what he knows how to do. So from that, we know that he's going to ski hard, shoot fast, and try and hang on in the latter stages of the pursuit race tomorrow. Yeah, he was close today, Mike. 3.9 seconds.
Very, very close. And, you know, when you're given times of the athletes that you're chasing, you can dig a little deeper. So it's slight disadvantage that he started a minute and a half before Laegreid. Or actually, a minute behind Laegreid. Shamiev, that's his strength, is his shooting. That's only 5 now, and he's how many have finished? I think it's around 66 actually. Shamiev should, I would imagine, get a start tomorrow in the pursuit with that time.
Well, this is only the 2nd sprint this year, Mike, that has been won with a mistake on the range. The other one was Oberhof to Matzo Jacamel on that occasion.
And I think it's the only sprint this season where not even one of the top 3 have shot the perfect 10 out of 10. They've all missed one today.
Yeah, I think in Oberhof, I think 1 out of the top 10 shot clear. And that's the same score as today. Extraordinary.
Seidel, a 21-year-old, learning his international game on his 2nd ever World Cup start.
Yeah, finished with a nice shot in the 10. Now, Mike, when you shoot in the stand position, there's absolutely no way when your pulse is approaching 200 that you can hold the rifle actually on the targets. Just explain how slowly the sights drift across the black dot.
You really can't hold them there for long at all. You know, you've got about a window of a second. So they're breathe, 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 stabilize, take. We're seeing 2-3 breaths there, stabilize, take. So that's your moment. You're trying to stabilize after the breathing, because when you're breathing, the rifle's moving, and that you really are looking at a 1 second window to squeeze that trigger.
And did you always try and come down onto the target, or did you just go from whichever direction was necessary?
No, I always, unusually, most drop down, but I felt you don't get a good visual on the target, so I would come from below, hover around the bottom quarter of the target, and then a very slight move, very slow move through the target and take. So I always controlled my timing onto target, and that does work well in windy days. I was often pretty good in terms of very windy days, always controlling my last 0.75 of a second into the target.
Gaëtan Paturel celebrated in France as the first athlete to win the IBU Cup in 2026, and the French delighted with that. They're not short of silverware this year, massively successful at the Olympic Games, particularly with Firmaye and the men's, Julie Simon on the women's events, and of course Michelin. Otto and Venus. No surprise that he was given the bear suit in Otepää last week, Mike.
He's quite a funny guy. He takes his biathlon very seriously, but he knows how to live and enjoy himself off the track. Which is, no disrespect to Finns, but they're very quiet people. But he's outside the box.
I was going to say, you've obviously never been to the pub with them.
Oh yeah, give them a few drinks. They're like Glaswegians.
Oh, nice shooting. It was going so well for Dobjan. Pushed his luck one too far and missed the fifth and final shot. We've still got a way to go. 111 starters.
Austria are going to miss Simon Eder, aren't they? He is the father figure and he's the vast experience. And outside of that, the team is quite slim on experience. 43 World Cup stars for Unterweger. It's not huge.
Oh, that was a brilliant shoot from Unterweger. 18.4. He betters Simon Eder. That was so smooth, so relaxed, Mike. I think he'd expended zero energy on that last 500 meters in. He looked so calm, like it was a training shoot. Paul Skoma of USA, 2:23 outside, 46th position. He'll have to wait and see whether that is good enough. It might be. The gap between 1 and 60 at the moment sits at 3:03, but it will start to come down. I think Skoma's probably okay for a pursuit start.
Simon Eder is on the edge of not making the pursuit tomorrow. He's 57th position. I was beginning to think Danhauser may take him, but he's unsteady in standing. He just looks so tight into his rifle, no relaxation at all.
So nothing too much for the Swiss to celebrate. Hartwig sitting in 18th place. At least he's back into the top 20. So Podolski for Poland, clearing the prone. We're waiting to get hold of Campbell Wright of USA. He is the best of the Americans today. He's just been pushed out of the top 10, down in 11th place and 57 seconds behind, having missed 2 in the standing shoot. It was going very, very nicely at the halfway stage for Campbell Wright, but again, just a little bit wayward with the stand. Here he is.
Campbell, how do you feel after this hard season here in Oslo, the last of the season?
I feel great. It was a good season. I think being young helps. You ski a bit better at the end of the season, but no, happy with this year and still have motivation to try again tomorrow and the next day.
What about today and the rest of the week?
Yeah, I think it's great. Sunny, nice. I'd rather have it be sunny and hot than cold and windy. So the track is quite bad, but lots of sun, so it's worth it.
Confident easier for shooting?
No, I've been shooting really bad recently, especially on standing. So not a lot of confidence there, but you don't need confidence to shoot well. You just need to shoot well to shoot well. So yeah.
This year Armin is leaving your team. Do you want to say a word for him?
Yeah, it's been great having Armin these last 4 years. I think the strength of the US team has gained a lot. I think we're in a lot better spot now than we were 4 years ago as a nation, and Armin's a big part of that. And I think all things come to an end eventually, but I think he can be happy with the work he's done, and I think he has a lot of plans for the future, and I wish him the best.
Congrats. Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you.
Good luck.
So that was interesting, Mike. Yeah, the standing shoot has really been the issue. In Otepää, he was spot on with the prone. Kontiolahti, it was similar, nearly all the mistakes coming in the stand. I wonder whether he would go up to Tandrevold and Brézard Boucher and say you don't need confidence to shoot in the standing position.
Well, I noted that down as well. You've got to have confidence. If you don't, you've lost the fight almost before you squeeze the first time for the first time. A very interesting interview.
Yeah. I remember having one of the British athletes alongside me in the commentary box, in Janti Manzisk actually, and suggesting that psychologists had a part. He said there was no psychology in biathlon. I just can't buy that.
Oh.
It wasn't you.
I think there's so much psychology, and when you start really getting into it, and you feel that Laegreid, every time you see his stand position and his prone position, he's so engaged, he's so in that moment, and that takes psychology. You've got to blank out all these other thoughts or fear thoughts, nervous thoughts. You've just got to be in that moment. Huge amount of confidence required for that. And I do believe, you know, if you're going through a bad phase in stand shooting, and generally it's the stand more so than the prone that trip people up, I do believe you can bring it back quite quickly with practice, with dry firing.
Yeah, Sjöqvist is in with 59th place. Simonada, Mike, down in 60. The curtain could come down on his career if anyone else gets into the top 60. Simonada will be out. He won't take part in the mass start unless they give him an honorary start position on the mass start on Sunday, which would be nice, Mike, but I'm not sure whether the IBU would bend those rules.
They won't, and this looks like Richard Losbers is going to knock Eder out of that 60th position.
Yeah, it certainly is, in 19th at the moment. Going back to the shooting, Mike, there's so much at stake in a race. How much of your training shooting do you have something at stake? How often do you have a tenner or 50 quid on the day's shooting? How often do you put yourself under that psychological pressure?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. Not that often. You know, you have to do it yourself. Coaches aren't setting up many scenarios, or in my experience, where you feel pressure. And actually, you can argue that if you're pressurized all the time, as some nations are, they lose their way in terms of shooting. So yes, I think you have to be able to switch off from pressure as well.
Well, you've sort of got to do it one way or the other, haven't you? You've either got to consistently put pressure on the shoots so you don't feel it, or you've got to train people not to care about how they shoot in a race.
I think that's the secret. how not to be there caring but not care. Yeah.
Whoa, Romanin nearly takes an embarrassing tumble down the last 50 metres. He is spent. He left nothing out there, and he's got to be proud of that, but he's down in the 50s. There are quite a few dropping out of the top 60 at the moment. Seidel is going. Is he going to make top 50? He certainly is. 2:23 is Skoma's time in 47. He's top 50, and Simonada's career is over now, and Losbers is just making sure of that. What a great race. 10 out of 10, and the Latvian going up into the top 21.
Can you believe it? A year ago today, on his 16th birthday, he had his first ever World Cup. He turns 17 tomorrow. That's an outstanding result. 21st position in such slow conditions with his bib number 91.
Yeah, 32nd in the Olympics he was.
Second World Cup start. Always nervous until you get a rhythm and feel what it's like to prepare yourself mentally each day for a World Cup start. It's birthday boy. He's missed one first time in. Parmentier, his best ever is what, 79th position. That was Oberhof in January in the sprint. could better that today if he gets this one. Oh,
that's a shame. Here's the last man to start today. I think we've still got a couple of athletes still to take their standing shoot. Only one withdrawal. Now this could be close. I think we're looking at just about 2.5 minutes behind. 2:43 is the current cutoff for the pursuit race. Quite a few good performances from the later starters, Mike, which sort of supports our theory that you could have just had everyone ski the tracks 10 minutes before the race and then stuck to the original start order.
I feel that that would have worked with, yes, the last of the elite athletes starting with bib number, what was it, 62, I think.
Yeah, I can't see a thermometer from where I am. The temperature at the start of the race was +8 degrees. It has definitely got a little bit cooler, as it always does at this time of year when the sun starts to set. And I think the tracks might, as a consequence, have got a little bit quicker. But 2:39, 56th position. And that means that Jake Brown of USA is out of the pursuit. He's pushed down now to number 61. Emilien Claude has gone for France. Skofquist of Sweden has gone. Ada, as we've said, has gone. And Dovzhan has gone as well. They will take no part in tomorrow's pursuit. Damien Levay, bib 99. First World Cup as well. Yeah, it doesn't look as though the French domination is going to end anytime soon.
No, it doesn't. He's won a couple of sprint races, Levay, at IBU Cup level. Pretty tough, though, you know, recently just being over in Lake Placid and New York State and then coming back over to Europe. A little bit of, you're still feeling jet lag at this stage.
Yeah, I hope you noticed Jean Monod's corner there, Mike. They've put a bollard there this year.
I didn't notice. Oh, well, they had to do something, I suppose, to keep the athletes wider on that bend.
Yeah. But when you've got a metal pole going into the snow, it's going to melt all the snow around it on days like this, which is what happened last year, and that cost Jean Monod the title last year. She's more than made up for it this season. She's already sealed the overall with 2 races remaining, so she can enjoy tomorrow. She's in contention for the pursuit and the mass start globe. Now, Levay, I think he's just going to miss it, isn't he, Mike?
It feels that way. He has to get under 2:42. Nope, don't think he's going to make it.
Well, if he can't qualify, if he gets under 2:52, then he will beat Simon Ada. His first World Cup, Simon Ada's last. Oh, and he's just going to miss it. Just misses it. 65th position. Well, it didn't work for one Frenchman, but Eric Perrault has had a fantastic day. He has sealed the big globe with a 3rd place finish today. And here is the champion for 26.
Eric, bravo. À quoi tu
Congratulations.
Il y a beaucoup de pensées et en même temps, il n'y en a pas. C'est un mix.
Yeah, a mix of emotions, he says.
Ce qui se passe cette année, ça a été énorme. J'ai vécu des tellement grands moments entre ce classement général pour lequel je me suis battu. J'en rêve depuis des années. C'est une consécration en tant que
yeah, it's been a long season. I've been dreaming of taking the globe for a long time, as well as the Olympic Games.
C'est une famille de biathlètes aussi qui savent à quoi ça correspond en fait. Donc c'est dur de trouver les mots justes.
So he says, yeah, his whole family have been fantastic. They're all into biathlon, and his family are all here in the stadium. He does, of course, have Norwegian roots as well.
finir qui finit aujourd'hui sur le premier chapitre de l'histoire d'Éric Perrault avec un gros globe.
Ouais, c'est... Non, le point de
So
départ, il date d'il y a
he's been
longtemps.
asked whether winning the globe today is the starting point of many globes.
Et puis j'ai pratiqué le ski, je pense, depuis.
And he says, no, my story started a long time ago when I was a small kid dreaming of success at World Cup level. He said he got hold of one of Raphaël Poiret's bibs when he was a youngster. He says he watched and followed Martin Fourcade's career intently, and of course Kontiolahti was one of his heroes, particularly from 22. So basically it's been his life. He's going to try and enjoy every moment of his success that he's had this season. Certainly on what we've seen this year, Mike, you know, he hasn't had a massive wins. He's only won 4 races out of the 19 so far. He could get a couple more this season, but he's only won 4 races. He's made the victory look pretty easy. His consistency, he doesn't have bad days.
And that is so important, and it makes biathlon is so difficult because you have one bad day, or most humans do, one bad day in, let's say, 8 days of racing. And Perrault has worked so hard in the summer months and all of his career to eliminate poor shooting. He hasn't eliminated it totally, but he manages to control every single day as best he can, which is better than the rest. What's also interesting, sorry Patrick, today Laegreid now becomes the athlete in the men's field with the most victories with 20. He's just moved ahead of Kontiolahti on 19.
Yeah, he didn't manage to defend his overall, but he's had a fabulous end to the season, Mike. He might even go on to win 6 in a row, which does that not equal Bjorn Dahlen's record?
Or Martin Fourcade as well, I think. It's 6 or 7 in a row. Need to look at that tonight.
Well, that will be our homework for tonight. And Johannes Tingesbo must have won 4 or 5 on the trot in his prime. Yeah, and when you consider that before that win in Kontiolahti, he had been on the podium 5 out of 5 individual races. So what's that now? 9 individual races on the trot. He has been on the podium and he's won the last 4 of them. It's almost unbelievable that he didn't win a gold at the Olympic Games.
Yes, he wasn't quite there, you know, physically at his best. And it was interesting. He felt the pressure at the beginning of the season. He wasn't racing free. And now when the pressure came off, he was racing free. And that's when you're at your best. Only one of the Rosbo brothers from Denmark racing today.
Well, I must say, credit to the fans that have stayed. I know quite a few have left. But this race was won almost an hour ago.
Yeah, very dedicated fans.
Well, Beauvais was the last man to start. He's going to become the 106th man to finish, although he's down in 99th position. .259. Beauvais only 35 seconds or so outside. Now we're going to try and track down Seb Samuelsson. Now Seb Samuelsson, in my book, had won the Crystal Globe for the sprint, but then Johan Olof Botten came through, finished ahead of him, pushed him down into 7th instead of 6th, which was all he needed, and he's missed it by the fact that he's only won less
Sebastian,
sprints than Laegreid.
As planned.
No, it was close today. Of course, I'm not so happy to lose the sprint globe, but I think I pick up my best performance. I missed one shot, but I think I do a quite okay race, and yeah, unfortunately it wasn't enough.
Already focused on the pursuit and Masters?
Yeah, I'm looking forward. You know, it's 2 more races to go, and I have a lot to fight for, so I will keep doing my best.
How do you feel after this season really hard? How do you feel after this hard season now?
Yeah,
you still have some energy?
I think, you know, I will not win the overall. It's for Eric, but I have a lot to fight for, so I try to keep my focus, and I feel that I still have energy, so I'm looking forward to the weekend here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Well, Mike, Samuelsson is 2nd in the pursuit standings, but he's 23 points behind Eric Perrault, who will be starting some 9 seconds ahead of him, so that's quite a battle. He's also 2nd in the overall standings at the moment, but Botten, who started the day 17 points behind, has closed it down a little bit, so there are about 10 points between the two of them going into the last pursuit of the season. So, as he said, there is a lot to play for as we see Marcus Bolenweb of Great Britain, last ever World Cup. He's a long way down. Shot well in the prone.
He did. He's been a very good shot. Family there to give him the support he needs. Yeah, opting out not to grab a hold of the flag, slow him down.
Well, it's a good effort for the whole family to make an appearance. Is he the last man to finish? Not sure. Well, he might well be. He's going to be 110. He is the last man across the line. And the crowd appreciating that. So 7:14, it's a big gap. I think he's probably just enjoyed his final ever World Cup. Unless, of course, he changes his mind over the summer. You ever regret retirement, Mike?
Nope, not at all. Loved it, loved every moment, but I'd done my time.
Well, there are your top 8 for today. Laegreid has done it again. 4 World Cup wins in succession, and in doing so, he has stolen that Crystal Globe out of the hands of Seb Samuelsson, who was pushed down into 7th place and just 1 point off the overall Crystal Globe. If he'd had another win, Samuelsson, during the season, then it would have been his. But it's not to be. Maybe next year he will come back and get his first Crystal, unless, of course, he does it in the pursuit tomorrow. But that will require a bit of a breakdown from Eric Perrault. And Perrault, the overall World Cup winner, shows no sign of that so far this week. Further down, any outstanding performances from the youngsters or the newcomers?
Yes, I think that the 16-year-old from Latvia, for me, is the best. Losber's the best 21st position on a very late start number. That's one of the best results in terms of age at World Cup. It's outstanding. Still 16-year-old.
So watch out for him. Yeah, he's only 131 off the leaders. He did hit all the targets, so 131 in terms of ski speed. By the time he's 20, he's certainly going to be a minute and a half quicker.
Yeah. Yeah, exciting times for Latvia.
Lots of Americans in the top 60. Jake Brown just misses out, 2:43. Emilian Claude, not sure what went wrong there. Very disappointed with that performance. Laegreid would have been disappointed after his successes. The Europeans. Jakob of Austria down in 74. And in terms of shooting, quite a lot of athletes hitting 9 out of 10. I should think we're looking at about 25 to 30% hitting 9 out of 10. Jack Jeffries with 2 misses in the stand cost him any chance. And actually, I think what Jeffries learns from this, Mike, is that he has to build the ski speed before next season if he's going to contend for World Cup points. Well, that's just about it from us here in Oslo for the day. We've got plenty of action coming up over the weekend. Of course, the pursuits tomorrow, both the men and the women's. Just a reminder of the times of those pursuits. 12:45, the women, and Hannah Urberg will be the first away off the start line. And then 15:15, so 3:15, we'll be on air 15 minutes or so before the start of the men's race in the afternoon. Hope you can join us for that.
So just keep a closer look up on the big screens, because we're now going to have our decimal meter. So when you see that on my camera.
So the World Cup total score, it is done and dusted. Eric Perrault is more than 180 points clear. We've only got 2 races remaining. Samuelsson and Laegreid and Bodden are still battling it out for runners-up position. That's going to be a fantastic race. And actually, Mike, it looks as though Laegreid may well pull himself up into second.
I think so. The form that he's on, he's just so comfortable. Yeah, missed the first shot today, but so comfortable through the rifle. And the pace is there, even though he's, as he said, his legs are heavy.
Yeah. Well, he may get found out tomorrow. It's a tough one. 12.5k and then a 15k on Sunday. Any other sports where they race those sort of distances this frequently, 3 days in succession after a long, long season involving, what, over 20 World Cup races, 10 relays or so, plus the Olympic Games. It has been brutal, and Laegreid certainly showing that he is the man with the stamina. 4 wins in succession to wrap up the season. Jacquelin started early, all the seeds going off early, to be honest, and getting slightly better conditions for the first lap.
Yes, definitely. The track was still firm, but incredible shooting from Jacquelin, putting his authority on the race.
Yeah, from the prone shooting, Mike, it looked as though it was going to be a day for the French and the Swedes. Kontiolahti absolutely burning up the course. Seb Samuelsson knowing how much was at stake, trying to defend that lead in the sprint standings. Emilian Jacquelin, 1 miss that essentially cost him the race. Perrault downing 5 and downing 5 very fast. 24.8 for that prone shoot. But Laegreid doesn't miss in the stand. Another 5 go down, and that put him into contention. This was the end of Kontiolahti's chances. Had he hit 4, Mike, in that stand, he would have been on the podium without a doubt.
Possibly even the winner, yeah, missing his first 2 shots in standing. Big setback for Kontiolahti.
Jacquelin, a much better last loop, but still not good enough to hold off Norway's Laegreid. Meanwhile, Eric Perrault. Unlucky. 1 millimetre away from the hit. 1 millimetre away from the win. That is how close it was. So Laegreid posting a time. He had a long, long wait. Starting bib number 9, Mike. There were still 101 athletes to finish.
It's huge. The expression on Eric's face when that shot missed, he couldn't believe it.
4.6 the margin in the end. And at this stage, Perot had the overall. Samuelsson had the sprint. It wasn't until Botten of Norway came across the line that changed all that. Well, there are the sprint standings. Laegreid and Samuelsson on the same number of points, but the globe goes to Laegreid because he has more wins to his name in the sprint discipline this year. Plenty of Norwegians in the top 15. And, yeah, it's the same old names. No one really breaking into the top 10 this year, Mike.
No, I mean, I thought that Campbell Wright was going to be challenging at top 3 positions by the end of the season. Hasn't quite worked out with his loss of stand shooting form.
So success again for Laegreid. Disappointment today after yesterday's high for Sweden. They will be disappointed with this. Jean-Marc Chablot of France is the Swedish shooting coach, so it'll be interesting to hear what he has to say about Kontiolahti and Samuelsson today.
Jean-Marc, on a appris avec surprise cette fin de carrière d'entraîneur en tout cas, ou en tout cas un changement, une réorientation.
He's being asked about the fact that he recently announced that he was going to retire. He says he's been thinking about this for a while, since last autumn. He's finding the travelling and the time away from home harder and harder.
En cours de temps, j'ai eu une nouvelle option professionnelle. Quelque chose de complètement différent qui a rapport avec
yeah, he's had another professional opportunity, as he calls it.
Et puis c'est le truc de rêve. J'adore les montagnes en Suède.
Running a big hunting ground up in Sweden.
C'est le truc de rêve. Donc j'ai pas hésité longtemps quand on m'a.
He lives up here. He's got his family and dogs up here, and he's looking forward to this opportunity.
On va faire le reste, quoi, informer tout le monde et puis faire le pas. Mais aujourd'hui, je suis vraiment content. Je sais que c'est ma dernière Coupe du Monde, mais je suis heureux de la faire.
Yeah, it's sad to leave the team, but he's very, very happy with what's been sorted, and he's looking forward to the future. He leaves with a really happy feeling, seeing the Swedes at the top yesterday in particular.
D'avoir pu faire partie de cette équipe.
And he's glad. He's really relished the opportunity to work with the Swedish team, and he's made a lot of friends over the last couple of years. He's done a fantastic job, Mike, and he'll be missed. It's going to be a new look coaching pen for next season.
It will, and he will be very much missed. You know, he was an athlete himself, a Swiss athlete. He was a good athlete. Must have done at least 12 seasons of racing, so a huge amount of time standing on the shooting range as a coach as well. So, yeah, he needs a break.
Yeah, what do you think the main thing he brought to the Swedish team was?
I think he brought a sense of, you know, building belief in them that they could be better. And you know, yesterday with the women winning the overall Nation Cup, I think that was the cream on his coaching career, absolutely.
Yeah, and the Öbergs won a lot of races by skiing fast. Yesterday, Sweden won the Nations Cup by shooting well. Well, there are quite a few prizes to be handed out. The sprint will certainly go. The Nations Cup, I think, is going to be awarded, which Norway have sealed. Third place today, but more than enough to seal the overall title for 2026. He joins a long list of Frenchmen who have succeeded on that count. Kontiolahti, of course, in 22. Martin Fourcade, time and time again. Raphael Poré. That is a pretty distinguished group, and Eric Perrault might match all of them by the end of his career.
In second place from France, på andra plats från Frankrike, Jacquelin.
He gave it everything, and that is why all fans, not just the French fans, enjoy watching Jacquelin race. He went out hard and he just hung on. One mistake in the standing shoot cost him victory today.
And it's quite cruel, Patrick. 3.9 seconds in a 25.5-minute race. The margins are so slim, and you could argue advantage Laegreid starting 1 minute behind on track time behind Jacquelin.
First place and winner from Norway. På första plats och vinner från Norge, Sturla Holm Laegreid.
Remarkable. 360 points out of a possible 360 for the last 4 races. He has been climbing the World Cup ladder at 3 rungs a shot. Unbelievable.
It is, and you know, he won the pursuit here last year. He's got the skill set, the form to do so again tomorrow, and possibly on Sunday as well.
Take away a couple of those weeks at the beginning of the season, and Laegreid would have been the man challenging Perrault for the overall. Maybe next year he'll be back.
In fourth place from Sweden, på fjärde plats från Sverige, Martin Ponsiluoma.
Ponsiluoma, 2 misses. Can't quite match Hanna Öberg, yesterday's winner, but that was a good effort, Mike. Great effort from Ponsiluoma.
It was, and you know, such good skiing form, and he is the Olympic champion in the pursuit, so he will be excited about tomorrow, starting, what, 19 seconds behind.
Christiansen, there or thereabouts, started today in 9th place in the World Cup standings. And Botten, who was the World Cup leader in the early stages of the season, Laegreid certainly owes him a beer, because it was his performance that allowed Laegreid to win the sprint title this season. Yeah, he's quite a small figure, isn't he? Certainly standing next door to Christiansen. They all look about 6'6" when they're on their skis.
And Christiansen, you know, this time last year he was back at the IBU Cup. I think Christiansen has also had a fabulous season.
So those are the top 6 from today. And then we should move on to the presentation of the globes. I'm assuming, Mike, they'll leave the presentation of the overall globe until Sunday afternoon.
I was wondering...
they usually do, because they want the photos.
They want the photos. Did Sean Minot yesterday, she did receive the sprint and the overall, didn't she?
No, I think she got the individual.
Oh, she did, sorry. It was
she got the individual, and the individual is yet to be awarded. Yep. So Perrault is going to get that. And as we now know, Laegreid has snuck his way through a tiny gap to claim the sprint. Seems harsh. It seems so harsh.
Oh, I thought